Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about our 1-year update as real estate investors. We currently have 5 properties. However, 4 of the properties we've had for exactly 1 year. So we're going to walk you through our numbers, where we began, where we are, and see, in spite of some bumpy happenings recently, with a couple of the properties, if we had a good return on the properties or not. Was this a good idea? We'll find out. Stick around for about 6 seconds. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Wendy Mays and this is the House of Fi. We are so glad you are here. Today we're going to do our 1-year update as real estate investors. Last year we purchased 4 properties in the Midwest for $104,000. Not one of the homes exceeded $28,000. One I think was as low as like $19,000. These are all single family residences, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and each of them rents for between $500 and $575. They meet about 2%, and that means that the rent is at or above 2% of the value of the home. Before we get started, if you have not subscribed, please do. We are rounding around that corner, on the way to 1,000 subscribers so that we can monetize this channel and reach more people with our story, but also to encourage other moms and dads who want to save more, spend less, build wealth, and do it all while living a joy-filled life, because that's what we're about here. We are transparent. We share our journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're going to hear all about all 3 of those things in this video. All right, so let's talk more about the properties. As I said, there are, I'm talking about 4 of the properties altogether. The numbers are very good for when we purchased them. And so now we're gonna see how we did. Was it a good idea to purchase these properties? And we'll see where we're at. The metric that I'm going to use is our cash on cash return. So I'm going to explain that first. Cash on cash return figures the amount of actual cash you initially put into an investment property compared to the net income generated by the property. So when we're talking about amount put in, we're talking about your down payment, any of your closing costs, that sort of thing. And then comparing that with the actual rents that you receive. It does not include unforeseen returns like equity appreciation or tax benefits. And so these returns can almost be seen as a bonus, because once you know what your cash on cash return, any appreciation that you receive or tax benefits, that's over and above what your cash on cash return is. So why would we use the cash on cash return? Well, investors use the cash on cash return because it's a more simple formula to use. It's easy to compare, and it's also a really good measure of viability. So if you're wanting to look at a property, it's really easy to get the numbers of a prospective property and input these numbers fairly quickly to get the potential cash on cash return for the property. That's why we're doing cash on cash return metric now, because we're looking at, well, what did we initially do to get these properties, and now we're at a year on year, and was our actual cash on cash return, how does it measure up to what we thought we were going to have? And typically a good cash on cash return is between 8 and 12%. Now, to do the calculation, you're going to need to determine your cash flow, calculate your initial costs, and then divide those costs by the cash flow. So if you look on the screen, you'll see the equation. It's the total income, which is the rents, minus the monthly costs, so things like the loan payment, taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancy, property management, etc. And then that equals your cash flow. And then once you have the total annual cash flow, you're going to divide that by your initial cash expenses. things like your down payment, closing costs, any seller concessions, repair costs. These are initial repair costs, not later repair costs, the initial repair costs, and other expenses while vacant. All right, so now that we have the calculation, we are going to look at how our properties did. Our total cash flow was $6,396. This was much, much lower than we initially forecasted because there were repairs and vacancies. Our previous property manager, which we no longer have, stalled on a repair, and no matter how much I pestered him, they did not make repairs on the property, so it sat vacant for 6 months when it did not need to. That cost us about $3,000. So we were not happy, and when our contract was up, we got rid of that property manager. Divided by the initial cash expenses, which was mostly our down payment, but also some other closing costs and other initial costs that we had. So $39,814. So the numbers initially, we were worried when we saw these numbers. We were not sure if that was we had a good year or not. But before I tell you our overall results, let me just overview some of the first year lessons that we had as real estate investors. Overestimate on repairs. We underestimated significantly. We ended up having 2 properties go vacant at the very same time in the month of November. One of them to get rent ready was going to be about $1,500, $1,100 to $1,500, and then another property that a tenant left horrible is going to take about $5,000 to get rent ready. And then we have a third tenant that is leaving probably in a couple of days. So we're going to have 3 vacancies all at once. So in addition to our repairs being more, our vacancy rate is quite high this year. This new property manager, she says she has a very low vacancy rate for all of her rentals at 3%. So we're hoping that that is the case. We will see. We'll check back on that in a future update. So first year lessons so far, overestimate your repairs. Pad an extra, $5,000 in there because you just don't want to wind up needing to repair something and get it rent ready and not have the money to do it. Issues with property managers. Really vet your property managers. If you can, talk to other people. We felt like we did that, but obviously it was wrong. And so we found another property manager. We're trying her out. Hopefully it is going to go much better. Also, definitely talk with other investors. Had we talked to a couple more people, I think we probably could have found out a little bit more information before sticking with the property manager that was on the properties when we got them and just transferred over. It's easy to get taken advantage of when you're doing this long distance. So it's very, very important that you are in communication with your contractors, your property managers. I have felt much, much better communicating directly with the contractor so that I can confirm what they think the repairs are. I can look at pictures and decide for myself whether or not what they're wanting to do is needed and if the price is fair. And so then the last thing is what I said before, is just keep a bigger cushion. I think that we should have kept a bigger cushion. I thought it was sufficient going in. I would now keep a bigger cushion, and I think that the amount I'm going to use is at least 6 months rent per unit at least, and I'll feel better about our cushion at that point. But now we're going to have to build up to that because most of our cushion is going towards repairs. All right, so drum roll. Our cash on cash return, even in spite of these repairs and other costs and just things not going as happy as we wanted to, we still had a cash on cash return of 16%, which is wonderful. I'm so happy. It would have been a lot more too had we not had that long vacancy, but I am not gonna bat an eye at 16% cash on cash return for our first year. I still think that's really, really good. So will we keep investing? Yes, we will keep investing. I think one of the things that we're considering doing, given some of the issues that we have, I think we might want to try new areas. We'll see about that, and maybe going with larger homes, maybe like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath as opposed to the 2-1s. So that's something that we're considering. We're also considering maybe a location that is within driving distance to us, because we are DIYers and we don't mind getting our hands dirty. And I really would like to be in person to see any repairs that be needed. And my husband and I are both not afraid of doing those ourselves if we have to. So that's something to consider. The problem is we're in Southern California, and so we'd really have to drive at least 4 hours or 5 hours or so to even find anything that we could do right now. So we'll see about that. We're not sure. The other thing that I think that we're really looking for in the next property is maybe a multifamily, so a duplex or a triplex. But again, we might have to look somewhere else for those, because the ones where we currently invest, I think people have found out about it, and so the inventory is really, really low, and the multifamilies that are available need quite a bit of work, and we just can't do that right now. All right, so an overview of where we are right now. Right now we have a total of 5 properties. The rents altogether are $2,640 a month. 3 are occupied, but 1 is in the process of being evicted. The 2 are vacant. 1 is actually ready and listed. The other will be getting repaired probably starting next week. The one who's being evicted is not paying rent. So we have 2 properties that are providing us rent right now. And fortunately, those rents more than cover the mortgage costs and sewer on 2 of the properties. So we're okay there. We just really need to get those vacant ones back rented as soon as possible. What this really solidified for us is, like, initially there was some real angst about these repairs and, did we make a mistake? And I was really, really nervous when we started doing these calculations. I was really afraid that we had not made any kind of progress on this investment that we, poured the rest of our cash into. But we did the numbers and it was great. 16% is nothing to be sad about. It's very, very good. And what it just kind of drove home for us is that this is a long-term strategy, just like the stock market. It's a long-term game. And so there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Just, I think, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a down in the very, very beginning, but it still ended up being okay. So now we know what we need to do. We need to build that cushion back up. We need to make sure that we're proactive in ensuring that we have good tenants in there that are going to take care of the property. Those are just 2 of the things that we're going to do. We're very pleased. We will continue doing this, and we're just keeping focus. So if you want to get updates on where we are, be sure to like and subscribe. If you hit that notifications bell, then you'll know when we're having new videos out so that you can check back and not miss them. We're so glad you're here. We hope that this was beneficial to you. Be sure to come back next week. We'll see you soon. Bye.